Hey, what's up? I'm Guy.
I'm John.
This is our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it. Give this video a like.
Podcast description below. Subscribe as well. Like the video. Subscribe. Like the video.
Super Bowl matchup is set, John. Mahomes, Brady. You know I wouldn't feel great if I was this entity, NBC, who traded this Super Bowl for next year's Super Bowl.
When did they do that?
They did it a year or two ago because the 2022 Olympics is on NBC and they didn't want it to be on another network because it's at the same time.
Is that the one that Japan wants out of?
Isn't
I
that
can't
this
keep
year's
up with
Summer
my
Games?
Olympics. Oh, yeah, that's this year. Okay.
But now you could argue that actually.
Oh, because the Olympics last year got pushed back.
That's
huh?
right. You could actually argue that 2022 will be higher rated than 2021 because just just everything's been, even the playoffs, everything's down. But here's what I know.
Also, Nielsen rates bars now, and the bar use is probably way down.
Yeah, so maybe NBC's not mad about it. But that aside, this is a dream matchup.
I think they're a little mad.
I know Al Michaels should be mad.
Yeah, their dream scenario. One thing that was very crystallized last week was Rodgers and the Packers are a massive brand for the league. You feel it like their games. They've been a huge partner over the 3-decade span for Fox, Favre, and then Rodgers. Anyone that's been to a Packer game, I've never been to Green Bay, but I've been to Packer games at the 49er Stadium, O.co with the Eagles. It's incredible how big their fan base is. It's just like, damn, they're everywhere. The numbers last week on the games, Rodgers versus L.A. and Brady versus Breeze, it was like 10 million more viewers watched Brady versus Breeze. Now, it was days. One was Saturday, one was Sunday. But I think it's fair to say Tom Brady is the most famous football player in the history of the league. And that might just be a product of social media and everything, but I think it's just he's played 21 years. He's the Babe Ruth of football now, right? Like just his accomplishments, his resume, his moving the needle, his crossover with women. There's never been, like, there have been seminal athletes in our life. I speak for myself. Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods, I would say, are biggest needle movers of my life. But they were more like, Michael was a really good looking guy, and so was Tiger, and obviously moving product, but they were kind of, I felt guy centric. Tom does feel kind of like a universal, just famous superstar, right? Like he could be Leonardo DiCaprio or something. He just happens to play football, but he's just super famous guy.
I think part of that's probably Giselle, right? Like with Michael, it was always just Michael. With Tiger, it was always just Tiger until the end when Elon came along. But Tom do think you go into another stratosphere, right?
Data supermodel.
Yeah, but just like a one-namer.
Yeah, that's a great point. Who makes more money than him, right?
Yeah, so
Robert Kraft, like, that means on the books.
Doesn't mean you get a discount, yeah. Doesn't mean you get a discount. But no, it's as perfect as it. It's anything you want, because I think for Tom, like, I think part of the storyline for Tom when we talk about what can Brady gain, like, does Brady have anything to gain? The answer is always yes. There's always something to gain by winning more. There's always something. And I think while he already is GOAT, the status that he's achieved as a quarterback, it's harder to get higher than the highest, the top of the pyramid. I do think a big conversation we have with him, and we've been having it after he left New England, was like, how do we view him and Bill historically? Do we view them only together? Do we view them independently? I think Bill, tell me if you think this is crazy, I actually think Bill has gotten more independent credit over his career than Tom has. Like, people credit Bill for just shutting down quarterbacks. That's not part of Tom's deal. Yeah. I think Tom can separate himself a little bit from Bill to the point that maybe when you talk about it, more people do say, you know what, no, that was more Tom than it was Belichick. Not that any of that matters, but when we talk about, like, what could this mean from a legacy standpoint, I think that's what it is, that Tom can almost put himself above Belichick in the hierarchy of just the NFL's greatest figures.
Yeah, Bill got to share in the credit of Tom's offensive success, but Tom didn't get to share in the credit of whenever he punked. Obviously, his record against the rookie quarterbacks for like 2 decades, his record against Ben and Peyton and all these guys in the playoffs. like Bill always got his own credit, and then he got the credit with Tom for winning the game.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good point. I didn't think about it like that. I do think, though, this accomplishment for Tom, which obviously has nothing to do with Bill, is a pretty fucking incredible accomplishment. I'd say in a vacuum, like just getting to the Super Bowl on a given year is incredible. Getting to any championship game at any level. You can talk about to high school to make it to the CIF championship. It means you got to win probably 13, 14 games. In the NFL, like what the Chiefs accomplished is really incredible. I think, though, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers being in the Super Bowl is more impressive in a vacuum than the Chiefs getting back. They had the best team. They were the defending champs. They had their whole nucleus stayed together. Their coach stayed together. They had no offseason with Tom. He had all these new wide receivers. He has an offensive head coach who technically is not the play caller, but we all know his influence on the play calling is huge, him and Byron Leftwich. Their mindset of an offense is completely opposite of what Tom's always been used to. And as you watched it play out the whole year, it even when it was right, it always felt a little weird. And yet they're in the Super Bowl, guy. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers hadn't made in the playoffs in 12 years, are in the Super Bowl. Like I think it's easy to go, well, they had a lot going for them. We hear that so often with so many teams, and then they get a player and it doesn't work. It didn't just work. Like they made it to the fucking Super Bowl. And I'd say this, the Chiefs, and I'm not diminishing Kansas City at all. Like we just expected this, and they just lived up. Like they're the best team in the league. They're there. They just did what we expected to do, and they own the AFC. I think Tampa, a lot of people pick Tampa, and I think most people just their talent on their team, their coaching staff's good. But then when it actually happens, and then you look back, you go, they just had a 2-week span where they beat the Saints, who had beat them twice, and the Packers in Lambeau on the road.
Well,
and I know it looked weird in both, and it was just that's an incredible accomplishment.
Let me ask you this, just off the top of our heads. Which of Tampa's best players were not on the team last year? Like Devin White was on the team last year. Shaq Barrett was on the team last year.
JPP was on the team. Mike Evans,
Jordan
Godwin,
Whitehead.
Yeah. Lenny. AB, but he's hurt.
Yeah. Ronald Jones was on the team. You're right. Fournette. That's a big deal.
Winfield, who didn't play today, but he's been one of the best rookies in the league. The guy from Minnesota, that rookie safety. He's been a baller.
I mean, they won 7 games last year. That's not even close to the Super Bowl.
No. Not even close.
So,
and honestly, if you watched them, it was a weird. It felt like they were like a 5-win team with Jameis, right? I think it's easy to be they just added Tom. It worked. It was. They had to win 3 games. Think about that. To win. Part of what makes the Super Bowl so difficult, and now because the 2 seed doesn't guarantee you don't get a home game. Like the Chiefs did what normal 1 seeds do. They put themselves in a position to have the easiest road, both home games, and they took advantage of it. The Bucs had to play 3 road games, and even the first one, that one thing I think we all can acknowledge on Washington is like they're not an easy team to play. They're physical, they hit you. Like that was a tough game, and then the Saints and Packer game, it's just a tough stretch to win 3 straight games.
Yeah.
Maybe because the Bucs, remember, toward the end of the season, really had to kind of get it into gear, and they've just been playing good football up until where the Chiefs felt like we're going through the motion. Fair to say that they flipped a switch because they look fucking remarkable.
Yeah, they're kind of like they're like a college football team where you're like, well, who are they playing today? How hard are they going to right? Like
haven't we heard? I mean, wouldn't you say for the most part, the Alabama guy has said that for a decade? Like, okay, they had 1 good win on their schedule. Yeah, they're the best fucking team. Have you watched them play? Like, isn't that the thing with the Chiefs? It's different in the NFL because we don't care about style.
Yeah,
points.
I just mean like I picked against them because I watched them a lot this year, and I thought the Bills looked better than them more often. You know what I mean? Like I just thought the Bills looked consistently like a team playing at a higher level than Kansas City. But maybe part of that was Kansas City was like, yeah, can we fast forward to the Super Bowl?
We're seeing the Babe Ruth now of football in the modern day version in Tom Brady against Patrick is on the greatest 3-year start. Technically, it isn't like he sat out the first year, but just 3 years as a player that we've ever seen. Won the MVP, AFC Championship. Second year, wins the Super Bowl. This year was a dominant player, and they're back in the Super Bowl. Like it just doesn't get any better than that.
Did you see the graphic that CBS put up of all the quarterbacks to make 3 straight conference championship games? You know, it was like 12 or 14 guys. But he's the
Brady,
only one under
Montana, Kelly.
26. He's the only
You're
one
just
under
saying over.
26
You're
to
just
do it.
saying over the history of the league.
Yeah, just to make 3 straight conference
Ken
championship games.
Stabler, probably Jim Kelly's, Favre maybe. I don't know if even Favre did it.
When I saw the graphic, McNabb stood out to me, but he's the only one under 26 to do it. I mean, he's
McNabb was really good, number 2 overall pick. You know,
no, he was. Yeah, I know.
he was making Pro Bowls at the time.
No doubt. But I mean, the list is Hall of Famers, and
Yeah.
the thing with Mahomes is it's just like you would never dream of anybody putting a career together like Brady's, but Mahomes lets you kind of think about it because he is much more the centerpiece early in his career than Brady was, right? On the early Patriots championship teams. These teams are more about Mahomes than those teams were about Brady.
Yeah. Those teams had elite defenses, remember? Like they were defensive centric. And Brady was good. I think I always used to say that in some of his stats in the Super Bowl. I think that second and third time were good, but they were nowhere. At the time, Peyton Manning was the better quarterback. I think universally, and Tom was winning. You know, back like what you're saying, like everyone kind of viewed it, even though I think he was better and probably was getting credit for. But the Patriot defense was elite. Where the Chiefs, their offense is elite and their defense is good, right? It's just like, but it's not. I mean, we've seen like champ LOB and the Harbaugh defenses and so the Ray Lewis defense. Like we've seen great defenses. It ain't the Chiefs. They're an offensive team with a defense that has the caliber and the level to win them Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like to me, they have the best balance of like best offense when it's on by far, and then a defense that is more than capable of being elite. When I say elite, like playing with as an elite team, right?
Yeah.
They give up maybe 25 points. They're not going to hold anyone.
That's not a problem.
Like
That's like most offenses 14. Like their offense is fine, no problem. And the other thing is like every year it gets bigger for Mahomes, and Mahomes is less stressed about it. Like this idea of he's not only is he unbothered, he enjoys it all. Like the stage has never looked too big for him. It's crazy.
Plays very calm. I think also maybe it's experience, maybe it's just their pure talent. Does feel like Tyreek and Kelsey are just so under control in these games. It's like, is this a spring practice for these guys or just the AFC Championship game? I can't say enough about Travis Kelce, who's now been paid 3 times. Right, he's got a rookie, he got a second contract, then he got a third contract. You can't ask, like, I think quarterbacks, you're making so much money, it's fun, I expect it. Sometimes with great position players, maybe they just lose it a little bit. To me, he's still playing like he's trying to earn his first big contract. Like, Andy, they've gotten into his head, like, you're going to go down as the GOAT. You know, you have a chance, Travis. Like, you're going to shatter records. And check, beside Gronk, the Shannon Sharps, the Tony Gonzalez's, you could rack up 3 rings. I guess Shannon has a couple rings because he played with Elway and then he played that one team with the Ravens. But I mean, Travis, this is your group, and it's like Travis is just kicking ass. Tyreek is just kicking ass.
Don't you think it makes it easier if you're an older player on that team in the offseason to put in a little extra work when it's like, I want to be here for as much of Mahomes as I can possibly be here for because that's the ticket.
It does feel like with the Chiefs, unlike the Patriots, like if you're in the boat, you're just like, oh, you're all here together. You know, we're going to keep you, and we want to keep you. With the Patriots, wasn't there always this weird simmering after every single one? Like, who's going to get it? You know, who's going to get tossed off the boat? Oh, they're going to toss 3 guys off the boat. Oh, shit. Oh, there goes Logan. Oh, Richard Seymour. Oh, he's got Asante. Oh, shit, he's gone. You know, like this year, like Edelman, he ain't on the Patriots anymore. It just over time. With the Chiefs, it's like, what can we do to get Sammy to take a little bit of a pay cut so we can keep him around? You know, it's like they just want to keep their dudes. Why wouldn't you? Bill just always
feels like such a happy
little more cutthroat. It does have a little bit of a feel like Alabama and Clemson. Like it's just that's Andy's personality, that's Bill's personality, and they embrace it. Yep. It's not like Andy hasn't got rid of guys, right? Yep. But you would have said last offseason there's going to be some changes, and no, there really wasn't. Just rolled it back.
Yeah, and unlike Alabama and Clemson, Andy's quarterback's under contract for 10 more years.
Yeah.
Did the extension even start yet?
I don't think so. I think it was Remember, it was a 10-year extension, and he had his 5th-year option picked up. So this is year 4 or 5. They got a long way to go.
Unreal.